Welcome, everybody. Andrew Zimmern Cooks Instagram Live edition. How are you all? I am fantastic. I took the worst beat of my life in fantasy football. The generic struggle against anxiety and uncertainty as we are 20 days away from an election. C-19 numbers are escalating all around the country except in 2 states, but all I'm thinking about as I'm humming the song Monday, Monday by the Mamas and the Papas is that all the days of the week have a song about them except Thursdays. If anyone can think of a famous song with the name Thursday in the title, please let us know in the chat. We've thought of ones for all the other days of the week. Sadly, Thursdays are the, redheaded stepchild of the song title world. Anyway, no matter. We have a fantastic show for you this afternoon. A great recipe, what I call inspirational cooking, in that there's kind of a recipe, but not really one. Huge shout out to our sponsors, the good people at Flor de Caña, Nicaragua's and the world's finest rum. Just my opinion. What do I know? Well, I know a lot. When you cook with it, you cook with Flor de Caña rum or any alcohol, red wine, white wine, anything. Vodka, gin, tequila. The flaws are magnified, as are the good qualities. And I have found over the years that Flor de Caña rum is preeminent when it comes to drinking and for cooking. And I use it mostly in cooking. Big shout out to the people at Shun Knives and the folks at Helados Mexico, from which we take our inspiration today for our recipe. How is that, you ask? Well, if you can see here, is this the Mangonada Pop?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so that is a mango paleta, right? A mango popsicle, and it's shot through with ribbons of chamoy, which is sour, salty, sweet, and spicy, right? It gets its heat from chilies, its saltiness from salt, its sweetness from sugar and from preserves, and it's, what am I missing there? Heat, salt, spicy, sweet. You get the picture, right? They also make these mango cups, which I'm kind of addicted to. I'll show you one in a second. But as long as I've been traveling to Mexico and now throughout the Horn countries of South America that have now adopted chamoy as part of their street food culture, and throughout the rest of Central America, chamoy has spread all over. And it's fantastic. First time I saw it, first visit to Mexico when I was a little kid, vendors would be selling ripe pineapple or ripe papaya or ripe melon or mixed fruit on the side of the road, and you could get it sprinkled with tajín, a spice that is now as ubiquitous here as it is in Mexico, or they would spritz it with a what looked like a red syrup. And that red syrup was tart with lime juice and salty and hot with chilies and sweet, and it just made the fruit explode and come alive. And I've adored it ever since. And about a year ago, finally, after almost 40 years of cooking, I finally decided I'm going to make some myself. And so I'm going to teach you how to make chamoy. The recipe is on our website at andrewzimmern.com. Look for it there. And I made the chamoy, and I would serve it with fruit all of last summer, and then with fruit all winter long, because I absolutely love it with the winter fruits that are available here, especially pineapple. And then, because you have so much of it lying around, because you don't need to use gobs and gobs of it, because it's very spicy, very salty, very tart, very sweet. So you just use a little bit to accent food, and it makes it just pop, pop, pop. I found that I would take like chicken wings and just dry grill them, just a little oil, salt, and pepper, or sear some pork tenderloin or some grilled chicken, whatever. And then I would take it off the grill and hit it with a little bit of the chamoy, a few tablespoons, and it would just glaze onto it, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to do that today with what we call sort of an inspired recipe, but I want to show you what got me inspired. So here is... And this is not really a shameless plug. I discovered Helados Mexico at my market long before they discovered us, but they sell these little 3-packs, and you could see the mango sherbet in this case. And that red seasoning in there is actually like a pasty syrup, and there's a stick that comes in there so you can eat it. And that's the chamoy, and they call it mangonada. Yes?
Someone found a song for Thursday. Thursday's Child by David Bowie.
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? Yes! Good pull. See, gotta throw it out to the audience. Love you guys. Thank you very, very much. So we're gonna pop this open. It's got one of those hermetically sealed plastic things. I always have to find the place where you open it. You take the lid off, and you can even see here, I mean, look at how good this product is. This is why I love Helados Mexico. That's actual cayenne pepper sprinkled on there. So you get this amazing, balanced, sweet, sour, salty, spicy thing going on. It's absolutely my favorite treat in the whole world. I want to eat like 5 of them a day. I don't, but I want to. So that was the inspiration. So please go check it out. It's available at your in your grocery store where all the ice cream is. So on to the chamoy. Oh, you know what? Let's get the pork grilling first. I'm going to serve this with pork, and I want to show you some pork chops here. A little pork 101. This is bespoke natural pork from a local butcher shop. They get their pork from local Minnesota farmers. And you can see here there's big pieces of fat on there. I buy them that way because when the fat cooks on the grill or roasts in the oven or sautés in the skillet, it actually renders, and then I save that fat and I use it in other things. Or I'll cut off, about a 1/2 inch, 2/3 of an inch of pork fat there, and I'll render it, and I'll use it as lard in recipes. Or for anything else that you might need a fat for. Use it, render it and use it to make a roux for a gumbo. It's just gonna be twice as flavorful as olive oil. But what I really like is when it chars on the grill. You have to cook it high indirect heat so that you don't get sooty flare-ups and you don't burn that fat. But when it caramelizes and shrinks down, it's like the fat on bacon. So don't tell your butcher, oh, cut that off. If you're buying pork chops that look too lean, they're gonna be dry. You can see here, and I'm sure you can pick it up, all of that internal marbling. Look at that. That means it's gonna be tender. Pork like this, you don't need to cook to death. I cook mine to medium rare and let it rest to medium, so it's just got a blush of pink in it. This is a loin chop. It has the tenderloin attached to it. It looks like a small porterhouse steak, right? Where you have the New York strip and the tenderloin. So you have both of those on a rib chop, along with this wonderful fatty little tail that has that great little piece of belly meat attached to it. And then you have the rib chop. And the rib chop comes from the rib, right? You can see that rib bone right there. So what I did with our rib chop today, I just decided to pick a rib chop. We trimmed a little bit of fat off, not a lot because I still want that fat to cook and I want to eat it with the rest of my pork. But we just put it in between 2 pieces of wax paper that had a little oil on it, and just pounded it just a little bit, just so that it could cook over high heat, but I didn't have to burn anything. I wanted it about a 1/2 inch thick, and it was about 1 inch thick, so we just pounded it a little bit. Beautiful, right? Hit that with a little salt, little pepper. I'm gonna drizzle a little oil on there. Just a teaspoon, rub that all over. And I am going to place this on the grill behind me. And raise the temperature a little bit. So we're gonna grill that. It's gonna take about 4 or 5 minutes on a side. I don't wanna overcook my pork. I'd rather let it rest for a little while. Okay. Next thing that we're gonna do is we'll make our chamoy and set that aside. So this syrup, by the way, great over vanilla ice cream too. Great with vanilla ice cream, caramelized pieces of pineapple or grilled pieces of fruit. A lot of people love to grill nectarines and peaches as well. Fantastic use for that. So in my blender, I'm putting a little bit of raspberry preserve. And yes, you can use strawberry, although traditionally raspberry is the flavor.
What type of oil did you use for the juice?
Canola oil. A little bit of preserve. You can use orange, you can use apricot, you can use peach. Lime juice. By the way, good news for you guys. Usually everyone talks about, oh, season it to taste. I have locked this recipe in so well that all you're going to do is season it for salt. I'm going to add some brown sugar in there. Apple juice. And here's the fun part. I've got my 6 dried arbol chilies, right? You can use Chinese Sinsin, you can use Szechuan, not peppercorns, but Szechuan peppers that are roughly the same size. I do this recipe with arbol. Number one, it's a Mexican chili, but also it's the one that's most readily available in supermarkets all over the United States, literally available in every supermarket everywhere. And I just put those right in there. And then I'm going to take a fresh red chili, in this case a red Fresno, and I'm going to split that red Fresno chili. I'm just going to pop open the sides with my fingers, right? Just pop open the sides with your fingers, slide your knife in, and just pull out the seed pod. I don't care if there's a little fleck of one seed in there. Don't get into analysis paralysis. It's just a pepper. Just pop that out, pop that in. Seeds and stem go into the garbage. And then I always like to put, you know, about a teaspoon of salt in there, and then I'm going to taste it for salt once it's done pureeing. Now, a word about this. You want to let this run because you want a homogeneous mixture. You don't want any flecks of chili in there. That's what should tell you you're done. And I can still see on the sides little bits of red chili. But once that mixture becomes homogeneous, we're done. I had it on 3/4. Now I'm all the way up. And it's done. Now, when we puree like that, you actually add quite a bit of air in there, right? Because it's going up and you're beating air into it. So the lightness in color, the reason it looks orange and not red, is because all the air that's in there. This is a batch we made a few weeks ago. And the only difference in the recipe, the only difference, is that this one was just made and this one is from a couple weeks ago. It will turn more and more red as time goes by. Just gonna pour that in there.
Andrew, quick recap of what you're doing for everyone that joined.
I am making chamoy, a sour, sweet, salty, and spicy Mexican sauce that's great in ice cream, for fruit, on grilled pork or chicken. I even have put it on salmon. You have to use something that stands up to it in flavor, so don't use like flounder with chamoy. All you'll taste is the chamoy. But it's absolutely delicious. And this is what the Mangonada cup with chamoy, with all that beautiful chili seasoning, looks like from our good friends at Helados Mexico. All right, so we have all of these different elements. I'm gonna put a little quadrillage on my pork. That's that cross hatching that everybody likes to achieve, right? Just grill it one way and then turn it 90 degrees, then flip it, turn it 90 degrees. And if you do it for about 2.5 minutes on each position, a total of about 10 minutes of cooking, your half-inch thick pork chop will be absolutely rock solid, stellar. And I'm just gonna stir my 2 chamoys together, because why not? All right. And then most importantly, I just want to taste it for salt. You should oh my gosh, so good. It's sweet and tart and salty. It just needs a little more salt.
Andrew, we're getting a lot of mixed comments about your beard.
Yes, I put that out in the promo today. I think I've mentioned this before. I'm having a beard problem. A lot of people love it. But for those of you who have hair, I haven't for quite some time, you have a cowlick, right? Where your hair goes one way no matter how much you comb it. My whole beard goes to my right. It literally just grows to my right. So you can see here, it's not actually hanging down, it swoops across. So I need to go get it trimmed, but like all the barber shops are closed, and the ones that are open, I'm not really 100% cool about going into a barber shop. Small little room filled with lots of people. So I don't want to necessarily go get it trimmed, but I also don't want to be that dorky guy from the Grecian Formula commercial, like trimming his own beard and stuff like that. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I thought that we would maybe select one lucky fan to come on here and do that, but we can't. Apparently, standards and practices shut that down right away. So I think I'm going to try to go out with the scissors myself tonight and figure it out. I like the Ernest Hemingway, Sean Connery kind of salt and pepper vibe, but all right. So how am I going to serve my pork chop with chamoy? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our pork chop off. It's been cooking for about 10 minutes. It smells fantastic. We're just going to let that rest.
Solon wants you to know that they have the same problem with their beard.
Oh, really?
They're not alone.
Fantastic. Do you trim yours?
He had to leave the live, so he just stopped by.
Maybe he has someone else
He has come
do it. I found out from Don't Ask Me How, but apparently a thing now is in COVID-19 is order in manscaping. And I Googled it to see if there were barbers that could come in and take care of my beard. And what popped up was a whole bunch of stuff that you don't want to, well, maybe you do want to know about it. But if you want to have anything done, if you want anything scaped, you can have someone come in and scape it for you, it turns out. I had no idea. Okay, so for those of you who follow along with AZ Cooks or are fans of my cooking or have seen me do demos or have gone on our website, I love panzanella, which is a Tuscan tomato and bread salad. All summer long, it's what I do with my tomatoes and put it on grilled fish, chicken paillard, steak, you name it. I love panzanella, and I make 100 versions of it. So I started playing around, thinking about today, and I've got these beautiful challah bread cubes, right? I'm going to throw some diced cherry or sliced cherry tomatoes in there. They're just cut in half. I'm going to season that with salt and pepper. Now, normally I have olive oil and vinegar, some kind of acid and olive oil in there, but I have my chamoy. So that takes care of my acidity and my chili heat. I'm still gonna want some olive oil, right? So let's just pour a few tablespoons down the side where the tomatoes are so it doesn't clot up the bread. I love fresh herbs with this. So I'm just going to take some cilantro tops and put that in. And it's not, the cilantro here isn't a garnish. And you can use mint or basil or whatever you want if you're not into cilantro. But I actually want cilantro in every bite, right? A couple of leaves in every bite. So I actually want a small handful in there. And what I did earlier, and I have this beautiful little grill pan over here. Some people have one that's half that size with a handle that sits on your gas burner. They also make them for induction as well. We got a double-sized one from Le Creuset that I love because I have 2 temperature zones. So earlier today, when I was cooking, I decided to use, because the mangoes did not look ripe in the market today. But pineapple is great with chamoy. Amazing with chamoy. And it was a ripe pineapple, but I wanted to intensify the pineapple flavor. So all I did was grill the pineapple. I rubbed it with a little bit of vegetable oil and grilled it for about 20 minutes. I just kept turning it, and it basically just dries out and caramelizes. You can see there's no juice running away from it. That pineapple is now softer. It doesn't have that raw pineapple texture, but it's got twice the pineapple flavor, and the pineapple sugars in there have caramelized. I also grilled some onion quarters. So I just want to cut those into roughly the same size that my breadcrumbs are in, right? So I'm just going to take a stack of these, turn this the other way, because I love grilled onion, those pork chops, and in this salad. I'm going to take some pineapple.
Andrew, there's a lot of questions about your shows.
Yes.
People miss you on TV. What are you working on?
Do you know, I hear this all the time. Bizarre Foods lives on in perpetuity on Hulu and Amazon and all kinds of places. What's Eating America, my show on MSNBC, is available on demand at msnbc.com. And we are going to start filming a second season, I'm pretty sure, right after the election. And I have a new show called Family Dinner that premieres in March on Chip and Joanna Gaines's Magnolia Network, which is really wonderful. Me traveling all over the United States, having dinners with families. I'm the world's foremost dinner guest, right? So it works out perfectly. And we also have some other fun things that are happening that I can't tell you about, but all good. So you can find me on TV. You just have to look, and nothing is more flattering than hearing that from you guys. And thank you very, very much. It is something you never take for granted, and I'm thrilled that I've had a long and still ongoing career in television. And for those that didn't know, maybe you didn't know, Zimmern List, the very last show I did for Travel Channel that qualified for this year's Emmys, won an Emmy for Best Travel Adventure Program. So we won an Emmy, which is super, super cool. All right, pineapple, onion, little olive oil, salt, pepper, the toasted challah croutons, the cilantro, right? Did I say pepper? Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Are you using the core in the pineapple?
I am using the core in the pineapple, and great question and good catch. When you have really good pineapple that's really ripe, and these I have no horse in this race, but those Fife pineapples are really ripe and sugary. And then you roast them, the core becomes super tender and delicious. So you can use the whole thing. Anyway, I'm just going to stir this up. And again, remember, I don't have any acid in here because the acid is going to come from my chamoy sauce. I guess that's redundant.
Do you have any fun videos planned for YouTube?
We do. As a matter of fact, next week we have promised people we are signal boosting our efforts on YouTube. So you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, you should. So you get little alerts, you get all kinds of stuff, and it's easier to find our YouTube channel. We are putting on some really cool behind the scenes stuff starting next week. Next week, if I remember correctly, we found, and I'm not sure I've told this story at a public level. When I made the pilot for Bizarre Foods, it was done as a special, a 1 hour special for Travel Channel. This is 16 some odd years ago, 17 years ago. And we made 2 1 hour specials for Travel Channel. Bizarre Foods, the pilot, and a show called World's Best Ballpark Foods. And I wanted desperately, Bizarre Foods I didn't even think about. World's Best Ballpark Foods was the show I wanted to make for the rest of my life. Travel around the world, go to sporting events, and show people the food that you see at sports arenas and neighborhood sandlot games and anywhere people gather to watch sports. I wanted to deep dive into the food that was there. I thought that was a great idea. The network said go to 10 baseball stadiums and do food during the baseball season. So that's what we did. It aired like 3 times, just like the pilot for Bizarre Foods did. The Bizarre Foods thing got a slightly better rating score. They bought Bizarre Foods. World's Best Ballpark Foods died an ugly death, but it's hysterically funny. And the reason it's so funny is that A, I'm completely terrible in it. I mean, it was a long time ago at the beginning of my career. Second thing, I look like Spanky in The Little Rascals if Spanky was 44 years old and didn't have any hair. I mean, I literally look like a really fat human thumb. It's out of control. But I run around ballparks and eat food. So what we did is we found the DVD, we cut it up into little pieces so that you could digest them in 7, 8, 10-minute chunks that made sense. And we're gonna start showing, that's the first thing that we're putting out there. All right, so pork chop, rested, beautiful, right? This beautiful bread salad. Sure, I'll call it a panzanella, inspired by panzanella, with pineapple and tomato and grilled onion and cherry tomatoes. That is just beautiful. So you got a little bit of carb in there from everything. I'm gonna put a little bit of that onion and pineapple on there so you can all see it. And then super, super simple. Now, here is what is great about the chamoy, and I just want to put just a little bit on the salad, because remember, it doesn't have any acid in there, right? Except for the salt, which is an acid in solid form. So I just want to put a little bit on there to season that. Now, if you have this spoon that you are scooping chamoy out of in the tub that's going to be in your fridge, don't let it touch any other food. Don't let it get dirty. Use a clean one every time. This is going to go into a plastic quart container in my fridge, and it will literally last for months and months and months. Trust me on this. It is going to absolutely change your life to have chamoy lying around the house. You can, to repeat, use this on grilled or fried chicken. You can use it as a dipping sauce for any meat or vegetable. You can use it anywhere that you need a sweet, sour, salty, spicy seasoning. You can put it on ice cream. Vanilla ice cream with charred pineapple, if you have leftover charred pineapple, is absolutely fantastic. I want to show you my move here. I do a little twisty twist, and I take my stick out of there, and I want to show you how beautiful that mangonada cup is. So you can serve chamoy 2 ways. You can have it with your entree, and you can have it for dessert as well.
What do you recommend for a beginner chef right now to get the most knowledge while everyone is at home?
Oh my gosh. What a great question. I even do this today. Cook 1 or 2 dishes every week that you've never cooked before. And the best place to do that is online, magazines, cookbooks, right? You have a million resources. If you cook something new twice a week, your knowledge at the end of the year will just be exponential. And if you sort of curate your own syllabus and cook food from Desai countries like India and Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and you cook foods from Asian countries, right? And South American food and your different European cuisines, your knowledge of ingredients and your knowledge of foods will just be explosive. And you can recook the things that you like, and the ones that you don't really care for, you can discard, but you will have learned a lot. You also will have practiced your knife skills, something that we're going to be talking a lot about next week, I think. And it's just the best way to learn is actually by cooking. And nowadays, with videos and things like that, you'll learn just a ton more. It's very exponential.
Someone really wants you to show them how to make ceviche.
Oh yeah, we can do that. What a great idea. We'll add that to our list. Thank you.
Do you have any go-to cookbooks?
Thousands. Sadly, the library in our office, right? This is our test kitchen in our office. But down that hallway, I probably have, 2,000 cookbooks? Vicky's shaking her head, yes. And I probably have another 3,000 at home. It's absurd. I've collected cookbooks since I was a teenager, and then when my father passed away, I got all of his cookbooks. When my mother passed away, I'm an orphan, I got all of her cookbooks. Why is it that if a young child is an orphan, they get a lot of sympathy, but a 59-year-old orphan, nobody really cares about? Let's think about that. So I have lots and lots and lots of cookbooks. My favorites are, especially for home cooks, are the more encyclopedic books to start with. So Mark Bittman's How to Cook Everything, La Technique and Le Méthode, and Marcella Hazan's Making of a Cook, and Julia and Jacques' books. I mean, the books that really show you technique and method. James Beard has a great one called The Theory and Practice of Good Cooking that has a lot of explanation of what it means to roast, to bake, to saute, plus recipes. And it's just the best place to start.
Is that a shun knife?
Yes, they're blonde-handled one. And I love them. By the way, I know everyone says it. Every single one of my sponsors for our IG Cook, AZ Cooks Instagram Live edition, I've been either working with for years, but was using their product long before we had a professional association. So I do have quite a healthy knife collection. I have 2 or 3 sets of shun myself. I absolutely love them. I recommend them for anyone. They're great knives. And they have knives in every price point as well.
Where did you buy your helados the first time? Mexico. Helados Mexico.
Oh, the supermarket near my house. I walked in. I love paletas, right? Mexican popsicles. And I'm looking around, and this is how it happened. I went from ice cream, and then I saw all the Magnum dipped chocolate bars, and I couldn't believe Magnum made one in raspberry, and I was just like, whoa, that's cool. And then my eye caught this lime, and I love lime sherbet and lime popsicles. And so I started buying the Helados Mexico lime popsicles, and that was it. I was sold, and now I have every flavor under the sun. I'm absolutely nuts about them.
What interesting projects are you currently working on?
Check out my Twitter feed later tonight, or my Instagram feed tomorrow, or Facebook tonight. I'm doing a thing. Tomorrow is World Food Day, and I'm doing something for the UN Food Program tomorrow that's really, really cool that I hope everybody gets involved in. I also spend a lot of my time working for www.saverestaurants.com, working tirelessly to try to get the Restaurants Act passed. It's part of the Heroes Bill version 2.0 that's now in front of the Senate. And so I'm hoping in this week, before the vote on Amy Coney Barrett going to the Supreme Court or not going to the Supreme Court, we'll see how that vote goes, although I expect her to be approved by the Senate. I'm hoping in that week we can get that bill passed, because it's not just about restaurant. In there, it's a multi-trillion-dollar bill to help small businesses and Americans all across our country, because things are going to get worse before they get better with the economy, as we're now going into our cold weather months and it's harder for people to move around and more people are going to get COVID, and it is just, we need to pass that bill so Americans can get the relief they need and small businesses can get the relief they need. And the largest collection of small businesses in America, independent restaurants, 5% of GDP, over $1 trillion economy. And remember, restaurants are the #1 employer of single moms, returning citizens, first-time job holders, very special segments of our population that can't just walk in to another type of business and get a job. So we have to do what we can for restaurants.
What is your #1 memory of being on Bizarre Foods?
Oh my God. I was actually talking with somebody at a dinner party a couple of weekends ago. Went to a nice socially distanced, masked on dinner party, and a journalist was there who asked 3 of the people at the table, all of whom had done traveling and written books and done things like I have, what were they most proud of? And I think if I had, so I had 2 thoughts, and I'll pass them on to you now. #1 was all the light that we got to shine on all the people for whom shining a light on them was not something that they ever sought out, but they stood as examples of what we would all aspire to be. So being in Madagascar with Jama the fisherman, who I asked him if he was happy, because to me he looked like he had, from the outside, the hardest life of anyone I know. And he looked at me like I was the idiot, which I was, and said, through a translator, why I'm the happiest man in the world. I have everything I could ever ask for. I have my family around me. I have the sun. I have the ocean. I have the animals. I have this beach that I live on. It was an amazing moment of change for me. And I guess Botswana with the Jeune Toisi, where I was a part of a trance dance and got to see what a 30,000-year-old traditional trance dance, tribal trance dance, is all about, where a gentleman actually left his body, got into my head, and then you have to seek out the episode. I'm sure a lot of you, it's a very popular episode, a lot of you have seen it, we've talked a lot about it, but that was life-changing in the extreme.
If you were in a deserted island with only one type of cookware, what would it be?
Grill top. Because you can build a fire and have some rocks and put a grill down. Just give me a grill. That's all I need. You can do everything. Live fire cooking is also the most fun.
It's spooky month. What's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie? The one that we're living in right now! I thought that was very funny. I hope a lot of you are laughing at home.
What inspired you to pursue the career you have today?
Who inspired me? My grandmother and my parents. They love traveling. They love cooking. It's where it all started for me, was with my family and in our home. As a parent, it's why I try to inspire my child to do it. My son cooked lunch the other day for like 40 people. Long story. But I was talking to him about it today, and he was just telling me how much fun it was. And I tried to just leave it there, because the more I tell him how proud I am of something, he's a teenager who kind of wants to run away from it. But the fact that he is the recipient of that same feeling that I had when you cook something for someone and they eat it and they like it, and it just fills you up inside. If he pursues it as a career, that's great. If he doesn't, I just want him to be happy, like any parent for their children. But the fact that we both have shared that feeling now is absolutely unbelievable.
Have you ever been sick from eating something while recording Bizarre Foods?
I have spent my share of time up at night, with the trots or throwing up, but I've never gotten sick. Everybody is surprised by that, but I think if I had, I would have sort of aged out of the job really fast, right? I mean, I spent 13 years running around the globe eating food, delicious, but also in some rather compromised places with some rather suspect ingredients. And so I think if that was going to be a problem, it would have reared its ugly head long ago.
Someone's asking fish or chicken?
Oh my God. Seafood is my favorite thing to cook, but chicken is my favorite thing to eat. I'm a Jewish kid from New York. I mean, it's chicken, chicken, chicken. So, Thai.
Dishes you're enjoying at the moment?
Dishes I'm enjoying at the moment. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I posted it on Instagram a while ago, but all summer long, my friend Bobby Flay was making a basil and shishito pepper pesto. And he would post it, and then all his friends who had eaten dinner at his house were like, oh my God, it was amazing. And I love shishito peppers, and I love pesto, and so finally I just made it. And he put it in his Instagram stories or something. And I broiled mine, so I charred them along with some onion and garlic. I varied the recipe a little bit and then pureed it with olive oil, pine nuts, cheese, and handfuls of basil. And I'm absolutely going bonkers for it. It's starting to turn cold here, so I started making like really rustic, thicker soups. I cook Sundays while I'm watching football. I make 3 or 4 recipes, usually meals in a bowl. So in my fridge right now, I've got a wonderful black bean chili, recipes on my website, a hot potato and leek soup, again, recipe I think is on my website. Vicky's nodding her head yes. What else did I make? Another one. Oh, I did my borscht with short ribs instead of flanken that I made, and that's in the freezer. Chicken soup is always in my freezer. If I don't have chicken soup in my freezer, I can feel it. It's almost like a limb is missing.
Do you have a favorite taco?
Are you kidding me? Tacos are... as many people who make them, that's how many types there are. I will say, I've been lucky enough, Bill Esparza is a friend of mine, and a gentleman for whom the wisdom of tacos knows no bounds. And he took me to a place in Tijuana that made a carnitas taco, folded it up, and then shoved the tortilla into the hot coals. And the tortilla charred and stiffened, it crisped. They just put it in there for like 20, 30 seconds. They pulled it out so it stayed shut. And that smoky flavor, I think about that taco more than almost any other. So I'll have to say that one. And a word about that. I asked 3 or 4 really famous Mexican food writers, chefs, restaurateurs, well, more than 3 or 4, probably 20, over the course of the last, 15 years when I remember to ask, tell me one flavor or ingredient or thing that is emblematic of all Mexican cooking. And every single one of them has the same answer: smoke. Not smoked foods like as in barbecue, but the char of the fire, the aroma of open fire cooking. And I've never forgotten that. It is a defining element. And as I put that taco up towards my mouth, you can smell the char of the fire on the tortilla. Absolutely, absolutely out of sight. We have run out of time. I love you all so much. Next week, I forget what we're doing, but it's something fantastic. More incredible things to come. We have some contests and giveaways from our sponsors that are coming up. Holiday cooking is coming up. We're going to make a great recipe, but along the way, I'm going to teach you a lot of interesting knife skills. Please make the chamoy. What you don't use goes into a quart container in your refrigerator. You will thank me. Recipe is on the website. Thank you, Helados Mexico. Thank you, Shun. Thank you, Flor de Caña Rum. Vicky, am I forgetting anything else? And thank you for reminding me about the David Bowie song that has a Thursday in it, although I will point out that's just one song. Thursday still got the shit end of the stick, but we're going to shine it up. We're going to shine that up